I had 7 online girlfriends, but the night before I moved in for college, I blocked and dumped every single one of them. I figured a fresh city meant a fresh start. Turns out I was dead wrong. Day 1 of check-in, I was already stunned speechless. Standing right at the entrance was this absolutely stunning girl, long hair, skin so pale it practically glowed, wearing a simple white floral dress. Total top-tier package. People around us wouldn't stop whispering about her, and yeah, I'll admit I snuck a second glance too. She really was gorgeous, but none of my business. I just wanted to be a decent guy from here on out. I stepped forward, heading for the classroom, but the moment I brushed past her, she snapped her head up, her eyes locking onto me like a radar. "You're Chen." I froze. "Yeah, who are you?" She stared dead into my face for a solid 3 seconds before finally speaking. "Yep, exact match to the photo." Her voice was sickly sweet, and loud enough that the entire hallway could hear it. I frowned. "What photo?" She tilted her head playfully, a teasing smirk pulling at her lips. "The abs pic you sent me, duh, what, 1 year apart and you don't even recognize me anymore, Mugigi?" Those 2 words hit me like a bolt out of the blue, straight through the top of my skull. Mugigi, that was the exact nickname my ex-girlfriend from online dating used for me. Little sugar, no way. My eyes went wide, staring at the gorgeous face in front of me, my brain scrambling to find something, anything, off about her. But even though she'd clearly glowed up, that sweet face was, without a doubt, unmistakably hers. "You're little sugar." The girl smiled like she'd just tasted honey. I, on the other hand, felt a chill run straight down my spine. "I'm Bai Ning Bing." "Surprise, huh, Mugege?" Small world. The hallway went so quiet you could have heard a pin drop, and then the next second it exploded. Wait, what, his ex-girlfriend? Mugege? What the hell? This guy landed the school beauty? That is so unfair. My head was buzzing. School beauty, that phrase snapped something into place. I suddenly remembered a post my roommate shared in the group chat last night about a stunning new freshman in the Chinese department already crowned this year's campus goddess. And the photo in that post, it was exactly the girl standing in front of me right now. My online dating ex, Little Sugar, had somehow become my actual real-life classmate, or maybe rival who even knew anymore. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. Bye, classmate," I said, trying to sound as cold and detached as possible. "You got my message from yesterday, right? We're already broken up." Bai Ning Bing cut me off instantly, that same bright smile still on her face. But there was something dangerous in her eyes now, something that sent a chill straight through me. "You vanish for a whole year, come back, and the first thing you say to me is a one-sided breakup. You really think that's how this works?" "I think it's pretty reasonable," I forced myself to say. Bai Ning Bing stared at me dead on for 5 full seconds, then burst out laughing, a laugh that was 30% sweetness and 70% pure murderous intent. "Sure," she said, flicking her long hair back over her elegant neck. "Then go ahead and reason your way through this on your own, Mugigi." With that, she spun around gracefully and walked straight into the classroom, leaving behind a hallway full of guys with their jaws on the floor and me standing there frozen, drenched in cold sweat. My scalp was tingling. What kind of mess was this? Online, I was untouchable. In real life, I turned into a total coward. And something told me this was far from over. I somehow survived the rest of the morning classes in that unbearably tense atmosphere. The second class let out, I bolted for the cafeteria like I was fleeing a war zone, grabbed my food, and hid in the most out-of-the-way corner I could find. As I shoveled food into my mouth, I pulled out my phone to check the damage from last night's mass breakup text to all 7 of my online girlfriends. Ghost number 1, Little Sugar, Bai Ning Bing had already tracked me down in person. What about the other 6? Midnight Rose had replied with just one line. "Mu Chen, you'd better pray to every god you know that I never run into you in real life." That message sent a shiver down my spine. This girl, online, was the type who'd go full white knight mode over the smallest thing. Who dares mess with you, I'll destroy them energy. I used to think she was just being dramatic. Now I was genuinely scared. Sweetheart Strawberry hadn't replied at all, but she'd posted a new status. Some people just aren't worth it, paired with a meme of someone crushing a walnut bare-handed. Blue Moon of Youth had replied with nothing but the default system smiley emoji, and somehow that one smiley alone made my blood run cold. I couldn't explain why, but it felt worse than a full-on verbal beatdown. The one called Bigger Picture had sent me 17 back-to-back voice messages, every single one maxed out at 60 seconds. I didn't have the nerve to even open them. Heart Across 10,000 Miles had just sent back a single question mark. And the last one, Red Dust Drunk, her message came back marked as undeliverable. Turns out she'd flat out deleted me. I set down my chopsticks and rubbed my throbbing temples. This mess was way harder to clean up than I'd expected. But then again, I told myself maybe I was overthinking it. These were all online relationships, after all. People scattered across the country, thousands of miles apart. Someone like Bai Ningbing ending up in my actual class was already a 1 in a million fluke. Statistically speaking, there was no way lightning would strike twice. "Excuse me," a voice suddenly came from behind me. I turned around and found a young woman in a black dress standing beside my table, radiating an aura like a walking air conditioner pure cold elegance. She had a folder tucked under her arm, clearly school faculty, looked to be about 25 or 26, and carried herself with that icy, composed energy of a top-tier career woman. "Hi, I'm a professor in the Chinese department, and I'll also be your class advisor. My last name is Chen." She pushed her glasses up with one hand. "Hello, Professor Chen," I said, instantly switching into good student mode, nodding rapidly. "First period this afternoon is my Introduction to Modern Literature course. Don't be late." Shen Qingqiu turned to leave. But after barely half a step, she paused like she'd suddenly remembered something. She tilted her head slightly, gaze dropping to look down at me. "Oh, right." Her voice dropped low enough that only the two of us could hear. "The message Moonlit Breeze sent you, did you see it?" I felt like I'd been struck by lightning, frozen solid in my plastic chair. Shen Qingqiu watched my reaction, the corner of her mouth curling into a barely visible, ice-cold smirk, then turned and walked off in her heels, click, 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 a sound that now hit my ears like a death sentence. Moonlit Breeze. That was one of my 7 online ex-girlfriends. It hit me all at once. My hands fumbling, I yanked out my phone, fingers trembling as I pulled up the chat history. There it was, the smiley emoji Moonlit Breeze had sent me last night, sitting quietly on the screen. Only now did I fully grasp what that smiley actually meant. It wasn't a "we're cool" emoji. It clearly meant, "You're dead and you're mine now." I slumped back in my chair, completely hopeless, my face gone pale as a corpse. One of them was now my classmate and the campus beauty. Another one was my direct academic advisor, and it was only lunchtime on the very first day of the semester. This was hell mode difficulty, full-on chaos battlefield. Before I could even catch my breath, my phone buzzed again in my hand. A Weibo direct message popped up, sender, Midnight Rose. The message was short and simple. "Heard you got into Jing University. What a coincidence. I'm in the capital too. Get your neck washed and ready. See you tomorrow." I slowly set the phone face down on the table and closed my eyes with an eerily peaceful expression. First period that afternoon, I hid myself in the very back corner of the classroom, wishing I could shrink into a tiny ball and disappear. Up at the podium, Shen Qingqiu opened her textbook. "I'm your Introduction to Modern Literature professor this semester, Shen Qingqiu." Her voice was cold and steady. "In my class." The entire room went so silent you could have heard a pin drop. This whole batch of freshmen had clearly been stunned into submission by this young professor's sheer presence. I kept my head down the entire time, not daring to even glance at the podium, my mind still trying to process the bombshell from lunch. Moonlit Breeze was Shen Qingqiu, my professor, my online ex-girlfriend. What exactly had I said to woo her back then? "Sis, your name is as beautiful as you are. The moon's so full tonight, but it's still not as beautiful as you. I'll come find you someday. No matter how far apart we are, I swear I'll see you at least once." I squeezed my eyes shut in agony, genuinely wishing I could travel back in time and slap 16-year-old me across the face, twice, for running that mouth and flirting like an idiot. "Third student from the left in the front row, please answer the question I just asked." A girl stood up and stammered through an answer. Shen Qingqiu nodded, her gaze sweeping across the entire room, before finally landing on me in the back row. and staying there for a full 2 seconds. My scalp prickled under that stare. You? In the back, Chen, is it? Come add on to what she said. Every single head in the room whipped around to stare at me. I scrambled to my feet, brain racing at full speed, and somehow, thank God, managed to stammer out a decent answer. The room went silent for a beat. Shen Qingqiu pushed up her glasses. Solid analysis. She looked back down, flipping to the next page in her textbook, lips barely moving as she muttered something so quiet only the front row could catch it. Still got that same smooth mouth on you, huh? The students up front looked baffled, but I heard it crystal clear, my ears burned bright red instantly. I sat through the rest of that class like I was sitting on a bed of needles. 45 minutes. Felt more like 45. Yours, the second. The bell rang. I grabbed my bag and bolted for the door like my life depended on it. Shen Qingqiu's voice drifted after me from the podium. For next week, read one extra chapter from the pre-class material. She was organizing her folder, not even looking up. Given the topic is about leading someone on and then abandoning them, I'm sure you'll have plenty to say on that. A few nervy students immediately shot me curious looks. My face went beet red instantly. All I could do was stiffly nod and rush out of the classroom like I was being chased. I leaned against the hallway wall, gasping for breath. There was genuinely no way to survive this semester. My phone buzzed again, another Weibo DM from Midnight Rose. This time, a photo. The front gate of Jing University, clearly shot from inside a black Rolls-Royce. 2 words underneath. Arrived. My pupils shrank. She was here. She was already on campus. My fingers flew across the screen. What are you doing at Jing University? Midnight Rose replied instantly. Looking for you? But we already broke up. You don't get to decide that unilaterally. Another message followed right after. Don't hide from me, I will find you. Which department are you in? I didn't reply. I shoved my phone into my pocket and picked up my pace, heading straight for the dorms. Delay the inevitable as long as possible, I figured. I cut through the academic building and onto the tree-lined path leading to the dorm district. And less than 50 meters in, a black Rolls-Royce Cullinan pulled up right in front of me. The license plate started with 4 familiar digits, and my legs instantly slowed to a crawl. The door opened. 2 burly men in black suits stepped out first, both easily over 6 feet tall, built like tanks, wearing sunglasses, expressions cold as stone. Then a girl climbed out of the back seat. She was dressed in a black leather jacket and mini skirt, paired with black combat boots, her long hair streaked with dark crimson, 3 silver studs glinting in her ear. Her face was stunning, almost unreal, but her eyes were sharp enough to be terrifying, radiating a kind of ruthless, don't mess with me energy. Every inch of her screamed, back off. The moment she appeared, I swallowed hard, forcing myself to speak. Didn't you tell me you were just a regular high school student? And didn't you tell me you were a decent, honest guy? Song Shui shot back with a cold sneer. Guess we're even now. That breakup message you sent yesterday, Song Shui said, staring me dead in the eyes. I never agreed to it. Relationships aren't something one person gets to decide unilaterally, are they? I already said. Song Shui took a sudden step forward, closing the distance between us to less than a foot. I don't agree. Behind her, the 2 bodyguards in black seemed to catch some silent signal and stepped forward in perfect unison. The students watching from the path erupted into chaos, whispering frantically, "Holy crap, who even is that girl? Rolls-Royce, bodyguards in black, what is this, a forced marriage or a hit squad?" I felt a crushing weight bear down on me, and it wasn't from the bodyguards. It was from the way Song Shui was staring at me, her eyes swirling with a dangerously complicated mix of anger, hurt, resentment, and a kind of stubborn resolve that sent chills down my spine. "Song Shui," I said, taking a deep breath, trying to keep my voice steady. "Can we talk about this calmly?" "I am calm. You call bringing 2 bodyguards who weigh a combined 400 pounds to corner me calm?" "They're my driver and my assistant," Song Shui said, lying through her teeth without so much as blinking. I glanced at the 2 assistants, faces full of hard muscle, looking like they were 1 word away from drawing knives, and gave up arguing. "Fine, let's find somewhere to talk." She turned and started walking straight toward the Rolls-Royce, her tone leaving 0 room for refusal. "Get in." I think it'd be better to talk here on campus, I said, making one last-ditch attempt. Get in the car. Her voice carried absolutely no room for negotiation. I stood there, hesitating for barely 3 seconds, when my phone suddenly buzzed like crazy in my pocket. Sender, Bai Ningbing. Chen Gege, whose Rolls-Royce is that outside the academic building? I just saw some super scary-looking girl walking towards you. Who is she? Then immediately after, you don't happen to have other girlfriends too, do you? Followed by a smiley emoji. Before I could even figure out how to respond to that, another message popped up. Hello, is this Mu Chen? This is Bigger Picture. My name's Fang Jing. My new debut singles music video is filming in the capital starting next week. Could you come pick me up? Followed by a shy little emoji. Staring at that shy emoji, I closed my eyes in complete despair and slammed the phone face down against my thigh, refusing to look at it anymore. The Rolls-Royce's engine let out a low growl and slowly pulled forward. Song Shui leaned back against the leather seat, her voice drifting toward me, unhurried and calm. I'd strongly suggest you keep me as your one and only girlfriend.